Hello everyone, this is Glenda Winkleman and welcome back to Creative Grandma. This video is on how to determine the multiple of a stitch pattern. I've had a couple emails saying that they see this part of a pattern, make a chain with a multiple of 4. So they said, I understand what that means, that you have to, chain 4 a multiple of times for the length that you want your pattern. But how do you come up with that? How do you figure that out on a stitch pattern? So this video is just the basics on how to show you if you see a particular stitch pattern and you say, boy, I'd like to turn that into a sweater, or it's an afghan pattern, you want to make it a sweater, or it's a sweater and you want to make it an afghan. So let me show you the basics. So to get started to learn this procedure, you're going to need some paper, a sketch pad. I'm going to use the row by row shell stitch pattern that I have on my video, and you're going to need a pencil with an eraser. So go ahead and get your stuff around, and I'll be right back to show you how to do 2 different ways to show you how to do the multiple of a stitch pattern. Okay, to get started, I'm using the pattern row by row shell stitch pattern, my pattern number 222. So if you wanted to grab that pattern and follow along, or if you watch this video, you can refer to any pattern you wish. Just use the same basic procedures, and this can be done with knitting as well as crocheting, but since I don't knit, I have to show it in crochet terms. Okay, so to begin how to figure the multiple, we're going to start, particularly on this pattern, it goes right into the pattern. Now some crochet patterns may start with, one solid row of single crochet or one solid row of double crochet, or even both before the actual pattern starts. So I'll go into that with the next example. So this is a pretty simple one. So we're going to start and read the instructions. Double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, and 4th chain from hook. So right away, I'll draw that line is my chain stitch. So what I do is I'll put a 4 under that, because I'm working my first set of stitches in that 4th chain from hook. So that's basically, I have my chain 3 that counts as the first double crochet, because we're going into the 4th chain. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So then you're going to work your double crochet, your chain 2, and 2 more double crochet into that 4th chain from hook. And then when you look on a pattern, sometimes you'll see the star symbol. So what that means is you're going to start from this point and you're going to end at this point. This is actually your repeat to help you figure out the repeat of your pattern. So this one starts with skip next 3 chain. So then you're going to put 3 marks for your chains. 1, 2, 3. So there, this starts the repeat of your pattern. Next, it says 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet in the next chain. So then you're going to draw a line for your next chain, and you're going to do 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet into that next chain space. Okay, so that's the end of our repeat based on this pattern here. Now all patterns are different, so please kind of pay attention to your starting and your ending of the pattern. So this pattern is a pretty basic pattern because it just repeats clear over to the end. So we're going to add 3 more, skip next 3 chain, 1, 2, 3. You're going to do your 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet in the next stitch. So that's the end of our second repeat. And you're just going to continue that over. Skip next 3 chain, work 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet in that next chain, and you're going to repeat that across to the end of the row. So this one's, like I said, pretty easy and pretty basic because you count your repeats. 1, 2, 3, 4, your shell stitch, your 3. So there you have a 4 chain. You do your shell stitch, you skip 3. So there you have 4 chain. You do your shell stitch, you skip 3. So you have 4. So because you started your first stitch in the 4th chain, this is how you determine your multiple. So this one's pretty easy. You have a multiple of 4. So now let's say, okay, I don't want my pattern to end with, start and end with the shell stitch. I want to put a double crochet. Well, it's easier to start from the back. Okay, I'm going to end with a double crochet. I'm going to add a space, and then I'm going to start my shell stitch. So you can modify any pattern. So you're just going to repeat the pattern that you have here down below. Okay, and then we're going to do the shell. And like I said, you want your beginning and to end endings to match. So because we ended with an extra chain and a double crochet, we're going to add that to the front. Okay, so to do that, you're going to need your chain and you're going to need your double crochet. So when you start a row, the three chain, you chain 3 for your double crochet. So the chain 3 is your double crochet, and then you need an extra chain for your chain space to match this one. So then this would be, you're skipping these 4 chain here, so that's 4. Your pattern, again, is from your shell to the 3, so that's 4, 4, and 4. So now your multiple changed. You have a, well, it really didn't change. Your multiple is still 4, but you have to add for the extra stitches. So what happens now is, okay, this pattern here that I just showed you is a simple multiple 4. But because we wanted to add these stitches on the beginning and the end, then you have to add extra chains. So here's your double crochet, and then you need a chain for that. So there's 2 chain you need. So there's 2. And then you come up here and say, okay, I have 3 for my first double crochet. I need another chain to match this one for the spacing. And then I'm going to start my first shell here. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you need an extra chain for your thing. So that's 5. So you go, okay, so now it's a multiple of 4, and then you add your ends. So this one's 2 and this one's 5. So you do a multiple 4 plus 7. So I hope you understand that. I kind of rattle on. I mean, I'm so used to doing it. I hope I make sense to people. So this pattern starts with the double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet in the 4th chain from hook. You skip 3 chain, you work your shell stitch, skip 3 chain, work your shell, skip 3 chain, work your shell. So because you're going into the 4th chain, that you're repeating every 4 chains, so this just matches that. So that makes it really simple. But when you have other stitches on the ending and in the beginning, that's where this number is important in order to make your pattern come out. And like I said, this is the same pattern as this one, only we added stitches here and here at the beginning. And like I said, we added 2 chain, we left a space, we're going to double crochet in that last chain, and up here we added the chain 3 for the first double crochet. You needed a space to match the ending space, so the beginning and the ending is the same. And then this pattern is the same as below. You skip 3 chain and do your stitch. So this was a pretty basic one. So now I'm going to do one where it shows you where the first row is all the same stitch. And on these patterns, you really have to watch because you cannot figure the multiple out when the row is all solid stitches. You have to go up to whatever row, even if it's row 6 or 9. If they don't start that special stitch until that row, then you need to kind of work yourself up to that row. So let me grab my other pattern. I'll be right back and I'll show you how to do that one. Okay, for our next example, I'm going to show you this pattern I call the textured X stitch. I'm working on a project now using this, and I'll be posting that video in another day or two. But this pattern for the repeat, to get your multiple, it starts with single crochet and second chain from hook, single crochet in each chain across. Well, you cannot come up with a multiple when your rows are solid stitches across. You need to come up with the multiple of when the actual pattern starts. So this one, I'm just gonna, let's do 17 single crochet across. So I'll make 17 X's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. Now these, yeah, they're a little crooked. The X's represent my single crochet. So this is my base row. And what I mean by base row is any row where the pattern doesn't start yet. So sometimes, say this is single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, then the pattern starts. So you can go ahead and jump up. Like if they're all solid rows, you can jump up to the row before the pattern actually starts. So this just happens to be row 1. So this is our base row. But say this had a row of double crochet on top of this, still can't figure out my multiple. And then if it had a row of single crochet on top of that, still can't figure out my multiple. So then the pattern starts. That's the row that you figure out your multiple. So, okay, so now we're going to start figuring out our multiple for this design. It says chain 3. So here's our first single crochet. So when you're working your row, you're going to chain 3 for your first double crochet. And then it says skip 2 single crochet. So we're going to skip the next 2 single crochet. It says double crochet in the next single crochet. So there's our double crochet. You're going to chain 1, and then you're going to come back and double crochet in that first single crochet of the 2 that you skipped. So there you kind of made a cross stitch. So this begins, you can see the star here. Yeah, I have writing all over my patterns. I'm sorry about that. So when you see the star, that's the beginning of your repeat usually. And then when you go down here, it's set, here's the end of the star. Repeat from star to star across to within last single crochet. So you know that the pattern's going to end at that last single crochet. So then it says repeat. You're going to skip the next 2 single crochet, and you're going to double crochet into the next. You're going to chain 1. You're going to come back and double crochet in that first single crochet of the skip 2. So as you can see, your pattern's starting to form every 3 stitches. And I like to draw lines. It helps me figure correctly so I'm not going back and forth. Because I'm telling you, there's times where, you know, sometimes you're not paying attention. You might just forget to count 1 stitch and then you're sitting there ripping it out, and I've done that before. Okay, so we're just going to repeat that pattern. Skip 2 single crochet, double crochet in the next, chain 1, come back, double crochet in that first single crochet that you skipped, and repeat it across. We're almost there. Skip 2, double crochet in the next, chain 1, come back, double crochet in that first. There's another repeat, skip 2, double crochet in that stitch, chain 1, and come back. And then it says work the pattern across to within the last single crochet, and then we're going to do a double crochet in that last single crochet. So as you can see, when you see the single crochet row, there's no way to determine your multiple. You have to jump up to the row that starts the pattern. So once you usually get this row set, that's how you figure multiple. You don't have to figure out the whole pattern. You just need to figure out up to the row where the repeats start. So again, here's every 3 chain. So every 3 stitches is the pattern. And here, what you have to remember is don't count these. You have to go down, you have to jump down here. Okay, you single crocheted in that second chain from hook. So this is actually a 2. So when you're determining your pattern, you may have to jump down here. So I hope I didn't just confuse you. You do go with this, but you carry it down here to your base row, because this is where you need to figure out your chain for your beginning chain. So drop down here. Don't pay attention to this double crochet. You're going to start here because your single crochet is already there. You're working this double crochet into it. So in order to get this, you single crocheted into the second chain from hook. I hope that makes sense. So then when you go down here, you can see you have multiples of 3, and then you have your last single crochet, so that counts as 1 chain. So here, this comes out to a multiple of 3. And then you count your ends, 1, 2, 3. So multiple of 3 plus 3 just equals a multiple of 3. So that's how you determine how to come up with your base chain for when you're trying to determine the multiple of a stitch pattern. Now this is just the basics. There's so many different stitch patterns out there. I couldn't cover them all, but I'm hoping that I showed you when the pattern starts in the very first row. And then, like I said, this could have 5 rows of plain stitches across before the pattern starts. So again, if this pattern, say these were double crochets below this stitch, then you have to realize you have to start down here. So if row 1 was double crochet, you're putting that first double crochet in the 4th chain from hook. So that would change this. This would be the same, but your starting one would be different. This would change from a single crochet going into the 2nd chain to a double crochet going into the 4th chain, and that changes your multiple to a multiple of 3 plus 5. So please pay attention. If your repeats are up here, you have to figure out the repeat row and then jump down and see if you started with a single crochet, a half double crochet, a double crochet, or whatever stitch the first stitch you started with in row 1. You have to figure that out in your multiple. So I hope this kind of helps make sense to it all on how to figure out your multiple. I appreciate you stopping by my channel. I hope this has been helpful. And please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Happy crocheting, everyone!